Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for checking out the video. My name is Brendy, and I know a lot of you guys who may see this probably do know me. Some of y'all might not know me, but I was saved by Jesus Christ in 2023. Yeah, I was saved by Jesus, and I just want to share how, I met him and know him now, and like how he saved my life. I'm not trying to like convince anyone. I just want people to hear me out. Maybe you don't know, like maybe you're starting to question like, hey, should I like, you know, pursue God? Like, who is God? What should I believe in? What is my purpose in life? I had all these questions at one point too. So I feel like Jesus is really the answer. And for a long time, I did not want that to be true because I was born very resentful towards God. I was born in a way where I thought I didn't need him, that I was already a good person. So, of course, after I die, I'm gonna have like a peaceful afterlife. Deep down, I knew that was very like, how can I put my faith in myself like that? Like, because I know I did a lot of messed up things. I try to like justify my mistakes in life, and I thought, you know what? If God loves me, then he'll let me, have peace when I die. And, that just wasn't going to be the case. And now that I know that for certain, now that I have this reassurance that, because I'm reconciled to the eternal God of all creation, now that I can call him my friend, yes, I will have peace in the afterlife. And I feel like people are scared to even question where they might go. But I'm going to tell you, long story short, the answer is Jesus Christ, okay? Give him a chance. Basically, I want to talk about how I was brought up. So, like, for 21 years of my life, I had sickle cell disease. I was born with sickle cell. I was born with SS, and I no longer have it because I did a stem cell transplant. And I feel like that's all because of Jesus. Because I remember when I was 12, my doctor would have the talk with my mom. Like, because I had severe sickle cell. Like, it was like I would have a crisis every 3 months. And I would require so many transfusions. And if you guys don't know what sickle cell is, let me be kind to explain it to you, right? Your blood cells are supposed to be this shape, and they're supposed to travel throughout your body and give oxygen. They carry oxygen, they do all that. But for me, mine was like a weird shape, so it was like this. They would be like this, and they would get stuck. I would get blood clots, and whenever I had that, it would be a very painful situation. I just grew up in the hospital. Like, that was my second home, really. I used to pass out, just black out from the pain. It was that excruciating. So I've grown up and I've had so many operations done. I feel like at this time in my life, I grew up in the church, right? But I'm at a point in my life where I'm starting to do things on my own. I'm straying away. Like, I'm now in school. I'm being influenced by countless of people, and they start to do things, and I want to fit in because I didn't feel like I really fit in with this whole, you know, this order that was kind of holding me back from things that I really wanted to do. So I started doing things that I knew, Brindy, you don't have to do that. You don't have to act like this, to fit in, to be cool. You don't have to do those things, but I did them anyway. And guess what? I started to fit in, actually, unfortunately for me, because I don't want to fit in the world anymore. I'm getting, validation from my peers and my classmates, and yet behind the scenes I'm getting mistreated by doctors, and they're saying that I am drug seeking, basically, at the age of 14. I didn't even know what that was, but I just remember like having a doctor come up and be like, I know you're kind. You're not like them, are you? Are you actually in pain? It'd be your own people, cause she looks exactly like me. So at this point in my life, I'm starting to internalize a lot of things, like things and names that I've been called. And this is from the enemy. I know this is the enemy now because I could see it, but he operates through people, and I didn't know at the time. But anytime someone will call me like a diseased freak, or I'm like whatever, that I'm drug seeking, that, there was a lot of labels attached on me. I have like problems with my school too at this time because I'm starting to get bullied. I'm starting to get ridiculed, not for my illness, because I knew not to bring it up in certain schools. Would have rumors started about me, really, and it was like, oh, Brandy, she's that, she has bed bugs, and they were all isolating me. Nobody wanted to sit next to me. I would have trash thrown at me. I wasn't like pushed. Like, I had a lot of things going on at like high school. That's when I really, 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 really started to deteriorate mentally. I just had so much trauma already in the hospital, or my illness, or from my peers in class, and sometimes even my home life, because me and my mom, we used to not get along really, and we would fight almost every other week. The whole mother daughter not getting along trope fit perfectly into that category, and I was really hurt by a lot of things that happened between us, and the constant fighting, and plus the school bullying, and plus my health issues. I could not really think of anything else except, why am I in so much pain right now? And it doesn't hurt like physically. My spirit was broken, really. And it says in the Bible that God saves those who are broken in spirit. In high school, I moved to Florida, and I moved from the high school that I was getting bullied at to a different high school during this time in my life where I'm like super depressed in life, feeling downcast, like, and so discouraged because, I thought, oh, if I moved here and if I do this and I go to a different high school, I'll be happy. My life will be great. But it wasn't like that. And the fact that it wasn't like that made it even more depressing. I couldn't move back home with my mom because, my parents were fighting, and my dad did not want me moving back with her until I turned 18. And I started getting more stressed. I started getting more sick, and I started getting more medication from the doctors there. And I'm not even trying to put it on the doctors, but at this time, I started to try to escape from the pain that I was feeling, and the emptiness and the loneliness. I felt a void. I felt a lack of purpose. I didn't feel confident in myself at all. My dad at the time, he had gave his life to Christ. Now I'm living with him for the first time as a follower of Christ. And he really tried his best. And I feel like because the enemy was just already so involved in things, and my family, we have a history of like anxiety and panic disorder and stuff like that. And I feel like that was something that my dad was struggling with too at the time, and he was super anxious about me because I kept getting sick. He didn't know what to do. He said like he did a lot, so it was just very hard for me at the time. I'm starting to get more crises. I'm starting to go to the hospital more and be admitted. And guys, when I tell you, when I used to get sick, it would be like I have to stay there for at least 1 week. I would come home, and then I just feel like, dang, very, 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 like, empty. So I started to dabble and abuse my medication at this time. I don't even know if I can say that. I was taking a lot of special medications that start with an O. Okay, I'm gonna just say OxyClean. And at that point, I just started trying to, end my life. And I do remember, you know, I would have like a huge bottle of it. Like my hospital at the time, they would send me with a huge bottle of it, and I would try to do that. And I think at some point my dad found out. Not sure how he did it, but he found out, and he started trying to hide the medication from me. But I do remember this one time I took like 10. I was going to fall asleep, right? I'm alone in my room. I'm falling asleep. And I just remember like, Bendy, don't fall asleep, because if you fall asleep now, you're not going to wake up anymore. And then I just remember, oh my gosh, what did I do? And then I start to regret it really bad. And I'm like, God, please wake me up tomorrow. Please, I hope I wake up tomorrow. And then by a miracle, I really did wake up, but it really started to take an effect on my body because my kidneys started to have problems after that, and like I would feel like so targeted and so like, oh, Brittany, my life was better before you moved here, type of thing, you know? And I'm not saying my dad said that, but I've had like family members say that to me when I was living with them in Florida, that, you know, they regret allowing me to live here because, you know, I just basically ruined their life. I would hide in closets for hours and hours and hours and hours and at a time. I would just hide in my closet for a long time and just cry there and just like sit there like all day long because I was afraid to even step out in my room. Sometimes I was afraid to just be seen by anybody because I just felt like, you know, I'm I'm meaningless. And then my dad, he was working with some people that went to his church, and then his coworker had a daughter. She used to bring me there. Like as I'm like at this stage in my life, I'm starting to try to draw near to God, right? And seeking him. And then I start going to youth group, and nothing really crazy happened at first. Like I didn't have like a whoosh of the Holy Spirit over me. I didn't feel overwhelmed with love and joy and happiness as I was going. It was just like something that I did to leave the house. At this time, my kidneys, they were not doing so well. Like I was bleeding all the time, even when I'm not on my menstrual, like dark blood. Like, oh my gosh, imagine if I just had like a really huge gash on my arm, and you just see like dark liquid fall. That's basically what it was like. Now I'm going to church. I didn't really have like this huge encounter, but I just remember too, like when I was sitting there, I was talking with my friend because I just went to the bathroom, and for the first time, it was like there was no bleeding. Because at the time, I didn't even know about healings like that. I didn't know Jesus could really heal people like that. Sitting there, and I'm on my phone, and then she comes up to me. She was like, "Hey, Brittany," you know, we start chatting, and then I'm like, "Yo, you know, I actually have this thing, and like this is like the first day I haven't had like something going on with my kidneys, you know, like." I tell her like, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, Jesus is healing you, amen." And I'm like, "Really? Oh, okay, that's cool, that's cool." So then I go home, but I'm like not even thinking about, like, now that I'm thinking about, this is my first time actually like bringing it up out loud ever since that day, really. But that was kind of like my first time encountering him, really. But then I soon forget it. But the enemy, oh my gosh, he was trying to do everything. At the time, you know, my father, he was having problems at his work. Like, I would get calls from his job saying, you know, that they're concerned for him and stuff like that. You know, he comes home from work one day, and then he's like, "Oh, you're not going to hang out with these people anymore." And I'm like, "What? My youth group?" My youth group. I was like, "Yeah, okay, dang." You know, I start like trying to fulfill myself with other things outside of, you know, God. And now I'm really starting to, you know, fight with my family in Florida, fight with my dad, fight with my aunts. So now I'm just counting down the days till I go back to live with my mom. And when I got home, I started to feel a lot better. I cut my hair really short. I started to experiment with my looks a lot, you know, and then I started to put a lot of work in how I looked. I'm starting to work now. I got my first job. You know, I don't have to go to school. You know, I'm reunited with my childhood friends. And then I think life is good, you know, like I'm chilling, chilling until I'm not chilling no more. Until, you know, then now me and my mom start going at it again. But this time it's like way worse. And I wasn't talking to my dad at the time because I was upset with him. It just was like, Bible, 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 Satan, get out of her. It was just a lot of things that I'm like, okay, now I'm really turned off to Christianity. My view of Christianity was very warped because of this person in my life. My life changed a lot moving back here after a while. I would say like after a year, it just starts getting hard again because I'm at conflict with my mom again. And then the job that I first got, I ended up leaving to another company. Uh, yeah, it's like a whole nother story that I could share with y'all about this job alone. the next job that really throws me into a suicidal ideation type of episode, type of season in my life was this job that I had, like a sales type of thing. I'm getting abused at my job. Like, my manager, she's very much abusive, very much like type of, and this was her line of thinking. This is literally what she'll tell my coworkers. Oh, if you want them to be good at their job, first you have to break them down and build them back up. So she was just attacking my character, calling me slow, saying I'm not good enough, saying she's disappointed in me, all this, that, and the third. And yet, after hours, she will sneak me into bars. Like, I would go over to her house. We would spend the night together with all our coworkers. And mind you, I'm like just turned 19, and I'm in a room full of 25 plus 30-year-olds. Like, I'm trying to be like them. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. And then, like, this job was not paying me at all, so that's one thing. My mom was pressuring me to leave. We had like some sort of a friend group in that office, but it was not a healthy one, mind you. It was not a professional one, mind you. And I put my trust in a lot of people, but then, the office, she wants to relocate to somewhere far up in New York. My mom's not gonna let me move with them. Now I really want to take myself and unalive because there's no hope for me here. I can't even, like, I feel like such a failure as an adult. Like, I try to be a normal, girl or whatever, go on dates or whatever, but the guy would not really stick around. Keep trying to put my faith in relationships and never works out. And I just remember I got into one relationship post transplant, right? And now I don't have sickle cell, and I date my first boyfriend, I would say. I'm starting to feel confident again, especially in my appearance. And believe it or not, maybe you don't see it now, but back then, when I had the bang, then, you know, the devil knew exactly what I desired too, because he sent someone that was like someone that he knew I'd be very attracted to. So me and this person, we started dating. This person is not good for me. Stayed because I had a lot of hope for this person, and I still do. But there was just something in me that really liked this person. We get into arguments, but I didn't know really what love was at the time. So, you know, I would just accept a lot of mistreatment in that relationship. And I start picking up on their mannerisms. I start picking up on things they're doing. We fall into, a lot of things that we should not have fell into. And one of them was something that I had a really hard time beating, which was a drug addiction. And me and this person would fight about a lot of things. Like, this person, I hate saying this person, but I don't like saying my ex either, because I don't want to even attach myself to that. My, no, not my. So, person I was dating at the time, I started to do things that I probably wouldn't have done if I was not in that relationship. I'm changing so much of myself just to, really please that person. And he didn't really like me for who I was. And he would tell me all the time. Before I came to Christ, we would get along, right? But we had so many bad arguments. I feel like a lot of it was very toxic, and it was. And this person that I was with really started to push me in a direction that I was not ready to go in yet. So they were like, get in my head a lot about a lot of the evil and corruption in this world. And then this person would try to like make me think that I am solely responsible for everyone's suffering because, I'm so privileged. I have an iPhone. They dig up, they have slaves that take and dig up these minerals to put in your phone. You cannot escape the system. You are part of the system. You are to blame. Da 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 da. But this person had a way of saying it to him, like, oh my gosh, now I'm freaked out. So at this point, this person keeps getting in my head. Like, they're battling with this too. It's not like they didn't think of it, that it didn't apply to themselves. You could tell, bro. Like, this person was just, there was just something very scary about being with this person. And like, they would get in my head a lot, and then they would say certain things that would really hurt me. In that type of situation, it's very hard to like defend yourself. And say, you know what, Brandy, you deserve better, get out. I didn't really have it in me at the time, and I knew that person was just taking advantage of that, really. So when I start to really fall in depression, I start to fall into addiction, I feel trapped still. I start hanging out on my roof, and I buy ropes, and I'm really committed to like making the pain stop. I didn't know how, but I just wanted it to stop, because like having a relationship was my ultimate, like, oh, I feel like if I have a relationship like this, or a relationship that looks like this, then I'll be happy. And I got exactly that, and it was so disappointing, because this person would bring a lot of fear in me. And at this time, I started to develop a panic disorder. I had a depersonalization disorder that I was suffering with, and I would be around that person a lot. I'm already susceptible to a lot of like anxiety. This person would bring me into like crowded places in New York. I would be like, oh, can we please leave? Can we please leave? He's at a dispensary in New York talking with every other body. I was so scared. And if I didn't want to go, you're such a scaredy cat. Da 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 da. You're making a big deal. Da 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 da. I don't know, but God lets things. He uses all things for his glory, and the good for those who love him. Okay, so that was just that situation. That's how I look at that situation now. And I'm running away from home, and you know I just say a prayer one night in bed. I'm like, if my life gets fixed, it's because of God. I'll know it's from God. Because I had zero hope. I had zero, nada. After that prayer, it's like I can't really remember what happened next, after next, but I just know that it was like peaceful. Like I came out of that like type of headspace for a bit, and I start to feel better about my life. And then I'm like, now there's something in me that's seeking God now. Now that I'm like feeling like, okay, I'm in a better head mindset. Like now I don't have depersonalization disorder. So it's like now I'm starting to freak out less. God, I want to know you. Because at this point, I'm asking all the questions in life. What happens to me when I die? I start watching, what's his name? There's a YouTube channel called Gart or whatever. I start watching his videos on space exploration. And then I see this video about the great filter, right? Of how, humanity, they were like, oh, there's either something that humanity has lived through that we don't have anything to worry about in the future, or there's something that's coming, and we just don't realize it yet. And I'm like watching that video, and I'm thinking all these questions that I have, and I'm like, God. And I just remember, even before I started seeking God during that relationship, I just remember getting a phone call from him one time, and he's bawling, crying, sobbing. And he's like, Brittany, I just want to tell you that Jesus is real. And then at the time, I'm not really searching for Jesus. I'm not really trying to, like, I think I'm good. I won't, like, okay, good to know. Okay, I didn't really take anything of it. And he's crying. He's telling me, Jesus is real, Brandy. Jesus is real. And then he hangs up, and it's him. It's his number. And then I was, like, so, like, whoa. Like, because like, this person, I never heard them cry like that. Like, they would not really cry in front of me or whatever. And I heard that person sobbing, telling me, Brandy, Jesus is real. Like, Brandy, that's all that person was saying. I really idolized that person for a very long time. Like, they were my everything in my life. But at the time, when they told me that, I just hung up. We never spoke about it again. I'm starting to walk in this path now where I know, and I feel like in my spirit, like God is calling me. I hear like my name being called, and I'm just following that voice. I start to like, try to read my Bible more, try to learn more about God. And then, bro, this is my favorite season, really, because it's like when you first start understanding Jesus and what he means and what he did for you, you start to love him. You start to love the fact that he's God. And then I'm starting to learn more facts about God and his character, how he's so good and loving and awesome, and all of those things he did for the people in the Bible, like the Israelites, how he brought them out of Egypt. And he's bringing them to the land and how his relationship with Moses was. Like, I'm just loving that relationship. And I started, like, listening to the Bible Project. I used to like watch their videos, and now like I'm reconnected with my dad. I go visit him, and go hang with my little sister that I didn't really have a relationship with at the time. But I'm starting to like, okay, now it's like, okay. I like it. But my relationship there is still too, and that's something that I wanted to hide from God for a really long time, because I'm like, well, this person brought me out of depression. This person helped me out. This person was there for me. This person even said Jesus is real. Like, that's the type of dialogue I was having with God. And me and him were just going back and forth, like, oh, Brendan, like, Brendan, like, you're not really supposed to be with this person right now, or at all. Like, but in my delusional states, I'm like, okay, I'll break up with him. And I'm trying to share the gospel with this person and how Jesus is God. And now this person was nothing to do with God or Jesus. Like, he hated me all of a sudden. Oh, Brittany, I'm not really attracted to you right now. Oh, Brittany, like, there's just something different about you. I would even say a dream. It was a vision. And this person and I were talking on the phone. And then this person said, well, I just don't feel like I love you anymore. And then this person keeps speaking. He's like, well, I don't feel like I love you anymore. I don't feel like I love you anymore. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like I love you anymore. And then this person was just telling me this like it's just the weather. Oh, it's gonna rain tomorrow. That's literally the tone and the lack of care that was in this person's voice. And it was clear as day. Like, the way I could touch things right now and like, okay, I know that I'm here right now speaking to a camera. That's how real it was in that vision. Like, I was teleported to the future. I remember I'm like sitting on my bed on the phone, and I'm looking at my wall, and at the time I used to keep Christmas lights up in my room, and I'll put a picture here if I find it. But I used to keep Christmas lights up in my room, and then I'm sitting on my bed looking at the Christmas lights, like listening to this person tell me that. And then I wake up, and then like I didn't even have no words, but I just sat in silence because I'm like, wow. And then, soon after that, like 2 days later, really, like it didn't happen right away. Like 2 days later, the same thing that happened in that vision happened in real time. Like, I swear, like, happened in real time. It's like that vision was very real, and it happened exactly how I saw it when I was asleep. And I ended up breaking up with that person. A lot of things happen. I start getting night terrors. The enemy plays in my dreams. My brothers start getting like nightmares too. They would wake up. Well, I'm not even gonna say they. One of them would wake up screaming, ah, like he's being attacked. And I run up to their room, and then they're fine. But the scream that they let out was like they're getting murdered, and that's the only time I heard a scream like that. Okay, another thing too, I know the audio may sound different, but this is really important. That night that my brother woke up screaming, I tried to tell my mom the spiritual things that were happening in the house when she came home from work, and she was kind of like brushing me off at first, but then the power went out, and then she's like, oh, what happened to the lights? And then I said, it's God. And literally, the lights come back on. I'm like, bro, let him cook. Let him. My dreams felt so real, y'all, at this time. Like this, because I felt so shameful. And then I'm like, hearing like, oh, I messed up bad in my dream. I messed up bad. I'm saying this to myself. I can't know God when I just did this. And I was like so shameful. I could not look straight. And I'm looking down after carrying my shame after leaving what I just did. And I feel so guilty. I'm like, I can't even talk to God. I can't even look at God. And I just felt very broken as a human being. And I knew God saw everything. I just remember before I woke up, I looked up to the sky and I said, God, I'm so sorry. And then immediately, whoosh, in my dream, like, when the feeling when you're underwater, your head's underwater, and you kind of hear the water in your eardrums. Is like, it was like a huge heaviness, a huge, like, it was like something covering me, is what I can explain it. But I could feel something rushing past my ears, like, and then the world starts shaking, 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 and then the sky, like, it's like the sun got brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter, and then I woke up, and then I knew God had forgiven me for everything, everything. I knew that was Him. I reached out to my old friend that I met in college, because, me and her, we used to have this one class together, and then through her, she invited me to her youth service that I still go to this day. I expected, she's like, oh my gosh, Benny, I can't wait to see you. We have youth group here, like, come back, basically. And then I started going, and then she would give me rides home and there, and like, she's really cool, y'all. Shout out to Adeline. Okay, so I started going to youth group now, and now I'm like at a stage, I'm still a baby Christian or whatever, you know I have accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, but now it's time to actually, like, walk with Him. And it was a little hard at first, right? I just remember sometimes I'd have a panic attack at work, because now, as a Christian, like, I had all these spiritual experiences, and I'm trying to live a normal life now, like, in the physical realm, after having these experiences. So I'm getting confused as what's a sign from God and what's not. I'm like trying to, like, hear God's voice, and then I started to read. Oh my gosh, I have it here with me, y'all. Okay, y'all, so I have this book here that I got from the middle school I was working at. It's called The Phantom Toll Booth. I really like it. And at the time, like, I was, my students at the time were reading this, and, I get a copy, I start reading it, and then I start thinking that it's a subliminal for this person that I just left in my life. There's like a character in here, he's trying to enter a gate, like, go past the gate, and in my mind, I'm very, like, spiritually naive, okay? And I start thinking these are signs for this person in my life. And then when they couldn't enter the gate, I got so freaked out. And then tell me why, like, shortly after, my students are all gone. There's no one in the classroom. I think it's time to leave. And I'm just packing up. I see a black feather on the floor. And I'm like, yo, like, I was about to crash out, bro. Like, I'm telling you, I was freaking out. Because I just had so many spiritual experiences. So I cannot even ignore the fact that God is real, or the spiritual realm is real. But the more I started to seek God, and something that He really taught me was to not be afraid. Now, I have no fear. I have no fear at all. No, I don't have anxiety. I don't have panic disorder. I don't have depersonalization disorder. I don't fight with my family all the time. I'm not, like, in the hospital back and forth, back and forth. And now it's like, I finally feel joy. I feel like I have my purpose in life. I feel like, you know, even though I've been through so many things, y'all, because after that, it's not like I didn't go through things, because guess what? The enemy was still working. He wanted to pull me out from knowing Jesus and accepting Jesus and knowing God. So I'm getting to know God, and now I'm at a season where I know God enough where I can trust Him. I trust Him. I trust Him. I trust Him. In that short period, my life changed so drastically. My house shortly burned down after I gave my life to Christ. Like,
Can you use it? You want to get a charger?
I can't. It's probably broken. It sucks. Sorry.
You got your.
Yeah, I got it.
My room was destroyed. I lost all my things. I got 4 parking tickets in 1 week. And, my job was stressful. I had nowhere to stay at one point, really. And I ended up, like, trying to stay at my friend Sarah's house. And we both got to leave. So it's like, dang, now we both got nowhere to go. So it's like, oh my gosh, we going through a Job season. And then at that point too, like, I start telling her about how good God is. And my life on the outside looks a mess, but I'm more happy than I ever been in my life. I'm like, yo, Sarah, like, what do you think about God? And she was like, I don't really know. I think I'm agnostic. And then I'm like, you know what? You should really. I forgot how I even shared the gospel, but I'm like, trust Jesus, because you know what? He offers eternal life. Like, he is God. Like, I'm telling you, I was not even trying to, like, do anything. Like, I wasn't even trying to convert or anything, but he found me. She was like, before I was pretty hesitant, but like just seeing how your life was and how you were, and it's no glory to me, all glory to God, because only He could do something like that to make me this joy. Imagine if that happened to me, like my house caught on fire, my room was destroyed, I lost all my stuff, I got all these bills and parking tickets back to back to back to back. I have a stressful job, lost my relationship. Imagine if all that happened to me without God. I wouldn't be here. I would not be here because, those things happened in my life. We lost the house. God was able to have me live in an area so much, so much peaceful, so much safer. And where I live now, I just know it's God's work. In Hebrew, where I live now, in Hebrew, it means peace. I went from a place with chaos. I didn't live in the safest neighborhood. My neighbors weren't like the nicest people. And now I live in an area where it means peace in Hebrew. That's God, bro. I'm literally trying to, like, just tell you guys. I'm not even trying to say you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. Just listen. Have an open heart. Like, have an open mind. If you're seeking, you will find God. Truly accept the truth, because sometimes we don't want truth to be that truth. We want the truth to be something else. No, that's not how it works in this world, right? It's like my life was not just all blissful and quiet and I had no problems. I had a lot of issues. And it's just now I have a rock. I have a solid foundation. I have a reassurance. I have joy. I can go through certain seasons in my life being happy. I could have so much put on me on my shoulders, and yet when I hit my bed and my head hits the pillow, I'm still thankful. I have Jesus. I have eternal life. I have peace. When you give your life to Christ, He offers a peace, a reassurance that you don't have to question. I don't have that kind of pain. I don't have that kind of sorrow in me anymore. Yeah, this is just something to, share with you guys. Like, if you guys wanted to know how I ended up here believing this, I'm just sharing my story here. I'm just gonna wrap up this video, but that was my, story and everything. And I just hope that you guys would, you know, have an open heart and mind about it, and just really seek Him. And I will be back soon, so thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you guys will have an encounter with Him if you don't know Him yet. And if you do know Him, I just pray that you'll continue to walk on His path. And thank you guys for watching.